Hi, this is Mark Birch and this is a quick analysis of the poetry of John Donne. So I'll start with a quick reading of the poem itself. I wonder by my troth what thou and I did till we loved. Were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly? Or snorted we in the seven sleepers' den? 'Twas so, but this all pleasure's fancies be. If ever any beauty I did see which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee. And now good morrow to our waking souls, which watch not one another out of fear, for love all love of other sights controls, and makes one little room, and everywhere. Let sea discoverers to new worlds have gone, let maps to other worlds on worlds have shone. Let us possess one world, each hath one, and is one. My face in thine eye, thine in mine appears, and true plain hearts do in the faces rest. Where can we find two better hemispheres, without sharp north, without declining west? Whatever dies was not mixed equally. If our two loves be one, or thou and I, love so alike, that none do slacken, none can die. Well, as soon as we hear this, we're immediately transported into the form of the poem. The good morrow tells us that this is an obede. And an obede conventionally is a poem that celebrates the rising of the sun, although usually it has an element of lamentation because the rising of the sun separates the lovers. Here Donne's subverting that conventional obede form because he's far from lamenting the dangers posed by the sun's arrival. Another thing to recognise is, in terms of form, that we're dealing with a dramatic monologue, and many of Donne's early poems use the dramatic monologue form, here potentially conveying or allowing the opportunity to convey the intimate words of the lover. So let's take a look at the poem's opening. I wonder by my troth what thou and I did till we loved. It begins with a colloquial tone, as many of Donne's poems do. I wonder by my truth. It's suggesting this honesty of inquiry. It's not fashioned, it's not crafted, it doesn't sound poetic. And that interrogative poses the question that hopefully Donne's going to answer over this course of the stanza. The inclusion of that oath may be just a casual intensifier. It's showing the strength of his emotion. But it also explicitly refers to a pledge. An oath is a commitment. That's maybe alluding to the pledge of love between himself and his beloved. But we also see this idea of immaturity being conveyed. Were we not weaned till then, but sucked on country pleasures childishly? We've got the semantic field of childishness and immaturity presented there. Weaned, sucked, childishly. And Donne's may be suggesting that the lovers' behaviours were immature before this relationship. Prior to this relationship, they really didn't have any idea about what true love was. And that period before his true love was found was a pretty protracted period. And you could suggest that the nature of that protraction, the extended period of that immaturity, is evidenced through those long phonemes of were we weaned. You can hear that w sound being drawn out just as that period of immaturity was drawn out. And also, that could be complemented by the long assonance of this E sound. Were we not weaned? You can hear how long and drawn out and extended it is, just as this period of immaturity was long, drawn out and extended. We then have, but sucked on country pleasures childishly, or snorted we in the seven sleepers' den. You've got lots of phonologically harsh sounds being presented that complement that onomatopoeic sucked and snorted that could suggest the harsh attitude to these previous loves. These previous loves weren't worthy of their attention or their time. They were uncivilized, they were base, in stark contrast to the love that he's presenting as sharing at this moment. And again, phonologically, we get Donne complementing the semantic nature of his exploration with the phonological. So we've got these harsh sibilant sounds that dominate those two lines. Sucked on country pleasures, childishly or snorted when 7 sleepers. It's almost as if he's spitting them out. We then get Donne drawing a distinction between the civilized, sophisticated love that he's now experiencing, one that's associated with the urban, and the kind of love that he associates with the country, a location that's symbolic of the simplistic and the common. We've got to remember that Donne was someone who has been, educated very highly, attending Cambridge, attending Oxford, studying at Lincoln's Inn, someone that was mixing in high society, and the urban would have been identified with the sophisticated, the educated, whereas the kind of bumpkins that would have been found in the country would have been associated with the base and the common. So he's suggesting that these previous loves were the kind of loves that would be associated with the country. We've also got to bear in mind that Donne loves a pun, and here there are homophonic qualities in that first phoneme of country that I'm sure Donne intended. So essentially what he's trying to convey is that prior to this new love, his love was, well, love in the broadest sense, was physical. It was base, it was the kind of thing that you would associate with purely carnal pleasures. Then we come to this quite difficult concept, or snorted we in the 7 sleepers den. Interesting contextually, because the 7 sleepers of Ephesus is this allusion to the legend that during the persecution of the Christians under Decius, we had these Christian soldiers who hid in a cave in Ephesus to escape the persecution, and they had this miraculous period of sleep that allowed them to avoid the persecution until the governance of the country was sympathetic to Christians. And so after 200 years of sleep, they were revived. Donne seems to be using this biblical and classical allusion, this mythological idea, to convey that he's suffered this long and extended period of ignorance in terms of his relationships in the past. And so the kind of ideas that we've already seen that have been expressed through those kind of long phonemes to show the extent of this period of ignorance and base relationships is also conveyed through this intertextual reference. "'Twas so, but this all pleasures fancies be. If ever any beauty I did see which I desired and got, 'twas but a dream of thee." Well, first of all, we've got the poetic voice's authority being established in that declarative, "'twas so." I know, 'twas so. The questions that were presented before were purely rhetorical. So Donne establishes this structure in which the first 4 lines of a stanza, which is the quatrain that's essentially the ABAB rhyme, sets up a concept that he then resolves in the following 3 lines. And here we have these following 3 lines that resolve the idea that was posed in the first quatrain. This, "'twas so, but this," seems to refer to the previous loves. Once again, he's focusing on the contrast between the previous loves and the loves he has now. He dismisses those previous loves. They were mere fancies, superficial, transient, unimportant feelings. And he refers to himself as an experienced lover, but he also flatters his beloved by describing those previous loves as ephemeral. They were but a dream of her. They were unreal. They lacked the substance that the love that he possesses with this woman does have. And we get this final comment that all physical beauty, anything that he desired on a physical perspective, is insignificant in comparison to the beauty of the beloved. So whilst dismissing those previous carnal loves as inconsequential, he also says that even though that kind of physical attraction is meaningless, the physical attraction to his new love is the most profound imaginable.